Hello, everybody. This is Sun Random Neko, waking up from my nap to greet the world for the day. And by greet, I mean celebrate Valentine's Day, not by exercising my self control over Girl Scout cookies or having dinner in a stupidly expensive restaurant, but by tallying another year of my membership in the Singles Club and watching a film that makes me not want to pull my hair out because the relationship is actually problematic in some way, shape, or form in real life, but instead has me believing that true love can exist. The one, the only, the timeless romantic adventure classic, The Princess Bride. Adapted by William Goldman from his novel of the same name, a bedridden boy's grandfather reads him a fairy tale adventure about the beautiful Buttercup and her one true love, Wesley, a farm boy turned swashbuckling pirate who encounters friends, foes, and numerous obstacles in his quest to reunite with and save her from the abhorrent Prince Humperdinck. The Princess Bride is an amazing fairy tale film that's filled with fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, and miracles. Yet despite having all these things and more, it's still a relatively simple story at its core that works so well because it does everything so well, and then some. The story is exactly as advertised and a fun journey to embark on from start to finish. It also has a unique narrative device that constantly reminds you that the events of the story are in fact a story, but it doesn't detract from it at all or make you annoyed by the interruptions. The narration felt like a natural part of the storytelling process and was pretty nostalgic, making you feel like a kid being told an epic bedtime story. And the dialogue was fun, witty, and sharp, with no unnecessary monologues or conversations being dragged out for longer than they needed to be, and gave us so many quotable quotes that are still being quoted even to this day. The characters were the best part of the story though, as the entire cast put on standout performances, and the chemistry amongst them all was amazing. The relationship between Buttercup and Wesley had better build-up and romantic tension in the first few minutes than most couples do by the end of whatever romance film they're in. The trios of Vizzini, Inigo, and Fezzik, and Wesley, Inigo, and Fezzik were fun and showed how much of a difference one person can have in influencing the dynamics of a group. The relationship between the grandson and grandpa was nostalgically wholesome and hilarious in equal parts. And even the villains, Prince Humperdinck and Count Rugen, added a fun antagonistic aspect to contrast with the misfit rogue swooping in to save the princess. The chemistry amongst characters also lends to the comedy of the film as they constantly banter with one another and engage in battles of wit that were hilarious to see unfold. And what was amazing about these exchanges is that they never got on your nerves. In fact, the banter was fun, charming, hilarious, and I would absolutely pay money just to see these characters do nothing but banter with each other, because the way they all play off of one another was so natural and great and added to their individual charms. In regards to production, the film is still impressively solid despite its age, as everything still holds up even almost 40 years later. The locations were simple, but the space was well utilized. The sets were simple, but well built and well designed. The costumes were also simple, but there was beauty in its simplicity that brought out the charm of each character, with Wesley looking like a dashing rogue, Inigo standing proudly as an expert swordsman, Fezzik feeling like a humble giant, Vizzini and the nobles being appropriately frumpy, and Buttercup looking gorgeous in every dress she wore, which were all uniquely beautiful. But the best part of the film's production was the special effects, which didn't use CGI at all. Not even a little green screen here or a rendered object there. The film relied entirely on practical effects, puppets that were clearly designed to be nightmare fuel, and camera tricks to bring everything to life, and to great effect as the special effects had a realism to it that eludes most modern-day CGI. There were also plenty of well-choreographed sword fights that were amazing to watch and grounded in the principles of fencing, with a classic stage fight flair that didn't add unnecessary embellishments or outlandish stunts that later films favored. However, while The Princess Bride is an amazing film on all counts, that doesn't mean it's completely flawless. The film has a bit of a pacing issue with progression in story and dialogue feeling choppy at some points, and the editing making transitions feel abrupt at others. The hill scene's sound design was odd, as the noises Wesley and Buttercup made while rolling down sounded like they were added in post instead of being recorded on site. There were also some logistics to the story that didn't make sense to me either. Like, how did Buttercup catch Humperdinck's attention despite living in what looks to be a very remote area? Why did Vizzini set up a picnic instead of doing the job he was hired to do and getting the hell out of Dodge while he could? Why didn't the rodent of unusual size attack Wesley when he spotted it instead of waiting until he denied its existence? Or what was the point of clearing out the thieves' forest other than to bring Aniko and Fezzik back into the narrative? And the rest of the flaws are more personal nitpicks that bothered me, like Wesley's mustache, which does work on other people's faces, just not on his. The torture device that I still don't understand the logistics of, and felt was more an excuse to get Wesley shirtless. And as much as I love seeing Wesley take advantage of Humperdinck's cowardly nature, the execution was a little off. Like, he must have rolled a nat 20 for intimidation because his threat was a 6 out of 10 at best, and it was only the menacing stance that really sold the act of him intimidating Humperdinck into surrender. But despite all of that, these nitpicks and flaws still brought something enjoyable or satisfying to the story, and are not enough to truly penalize the film and give it a lower grade than it deserves, as it's really just that solid in its foundation and amazing in its execution. Overall, The Princess Bride gets an A+. It's a simple yet epic story with a great balance of romance, adventure, and comedy that's an overall good time despite some flaws. There are plenty of charming and memorable characters brought to life by the standout performances of the entire cast, and the chemistry amongst them all is so amazing that you could watch them banter all day and never get bored. The unique narrative device gives the film a nostalgic feel, and there are plenty of quotes that remain quotable even to this day. The practical effects also give the film a sense of realism that's lacking nowadays due to modern filmmaking's over-reliance on CGI, and the production is just top-notch in all aspects despite being relatively simple. In fact, it's the simplicity that gives the film its charm and beauty and makes it stand out amongst the sea of ye oldie films. Because The Princess Bride is a film that's exactly what it presents itself to be, and does it exceptionally well. It's a fun film where you don't need to use your brain to understand or enjoy it, but it also doesn't treat you like you're an idiot. It's a classic that manages the rare feat of transcending generations, and will never get old no matter how many years have passed. So if you haven't watched The Princess Bride yet, I highly suggest you do, because this is one major cultural phenomenon you do not want to miss out on. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Reminder that this is just my opinion, so you can take it with as many grains of salt as you want. I don't mind either way, and would love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Please feel free to like, subscribe, and comment which film you'd like me to give my 2 cents about next. This is some random Neko, giving into the temptation of Girl Scout cookies and then going to play co-op with my friends now. Don't forget to keep calm and just meow.